What happens if you don't receive the VA benefits that you're entitled to? You filed a claim for VA benefits and it was denied. You heard that filing a supplemental claim was the way to fight back. It is with medical evidence. A supplemental claim is great if you submit new and relevant evidence. In order to establish service connection and win your claim, you need to meet the 3 elements to prove service connection. You need a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a nexus linking your current disability to your active duty service. Yeehaw! Flip phone. Current nexus. So in order to fight, you need to read your decision letter. You need to see what you're missing because you only need to argue the missing things. You don't need to argue everything all over again because you already won. Before I show you some examples, I want to remind you that I cover this in my boot camp. Sign up at combatcraig.com. Yes, it costs money. Also, if you need a piece of missing medical evidence, we partnered up with a company that can help. Yes, that costs money too. There's an email address. I'll put it right here on the screen and just say, I need help with my VA claim. And, let me just talk about the money part. I went to the gas station today. I'm a veteran. I walked in there and was like, yeah, that'll be $80. I was like, yeah, I want it for free because I'm a veteran. Pay now or I'm going to call the cops. You get what you pay for in the VA claims business. So this YouTube channel is free. If you want to watch it for free, perfect. I encourage you to do so. If you think boot camp can help you and you want to reach out to me, cool. That costs a little money. You want to get a doctor or a lawyer involved? It's going to cost more money. It's a pay-to-play game. You don't have to pay. You can keep doing what you're doing now. When you get tired of losing, then come back, pay a little money. The reward's big. Tax-free money for the rest of your life. I guarantee you, when I went from 60%, which was, $1,200 up to $3,300 a month, it changed my life. But you're not there yet. If you don't want to pay anything, that's cool. Keep using the free VSOs. I'll check back with you in a few years, see how that's working for you. If this whole thing's too confusing for you, again, that's another bullshit reason. It can't be too confusing. You have to deal with this stuff. Just relying on other people to do your job for you, it's dumb. But I don't want to knock the sponsor of today's video, so if you need a lawyer up, you might want to check out Hill and Ponton. Check them out at hillandponton.com. You need to argue the facts versus just kind of chucking out any argument. You have to look at your decision letter and what are you arguing? Just filing a supplemental claim. I'll just throw some stuff up there. You already did that and lost. All right, here's the old Combat Craig analogy of the day. Speeding tickets. What happens when you get a speeding ticket? You try to bullshit your way out of it, and then that doesn't happen. So what's the next step? You take it. I don't know. You might want to argue with them and maybe get arrested. But, if you're like me, I don't want to pay. So I choose a court date and I argue why the ticket is invalid. I've done this 3 times. It's actually kind of fun. You know what? I kind of like doing these kind of halfway legal arguments, VA law, traffic ticket law. But you know what I mean? You go in there and it's like, you used a radar gun on me. When was it calibrated? They're supposed to be calibrated every certain amount of time, 3 months or 6 months. If his gun wasn't calibrated, it's useless. I did law enforcement in the military. They didn't fight like that, but we had to calibrate that stuff. If the guy's pacing you, oh, okay, cool. So now you're using your speedometer to pace me, and you got me going at 92 and a 65. When was your speedometer calibrated? Oh, you don't have that paperwork? They have to toss it out. So you have to know what you're arguing, and you argue the facts. You're there to argue a traffic ticket, in my case, a specific time and date. And he said I was speeding, and this is how he determined it. His outdated radar gun or his magic eyes that are calibrated to only guy in the world, or he was pacing me with his busted-ass speedometer, which is just as broken as mine is. Because I wasn't going 92. I was only going 55. I promise, sir. So I've been to traffic court a couple times. And, I go in with an argument, one of these two usually, but you know what happens? A lot of times the cop doesn't even show up. So I didn't need to get prepared to fight speeding tickets I never got. How many times have you been speeding? Like, I speed everywhere. I'm always in a hurry. I don't need to go in to a speeding ticket argument and start preparing a well thought out case for the 4,000 times I was speeding and didn't get caught, right? You don't need to argue things that don't matter. So if you already have the diagnosis and you already have the nexus, you just need to argue the symptoms. If you have the diagnosis and the symptoms and you lost on the nexus, you need to fight the nexus. If you need to fight all three, you need to fight all three. But I'll give you some examples here, but you need to focus on what you need to fight. There's no extra points for winning. You just win. If the VA concedes that you have the diagnosis, you don't need to keep arguing it. Your decision letter has all the answers you need, and they're going to tell you what piece of medical evidence you're missing. If your decision letter says you've been diagnosed with a disability, and that's under the favorable findings part, you got it on the disability. If it says the evidence shows that a qualifying event, injury, or disease had its onset during your service, your DD 214 shows that the military occupational specialty of, say, signal support system specialist, for which we concede probability of exposure to acoustic noise trauma in service. That means you have the diagnosis, they put you in service, and they're conceding acoustic noise trauma. You won your tinnitus claim. You don't need to argue that anymore. You won the diagnosis, the symptoms, and the nexus. If your decision letter says we did not find a link between your medical condition and your military service, and they quote 38 CFR 3.303, that means no nexus. Link means nexus. So no nexus means go get a nexus, right? You got the diagnosis, you got the symptoms. The nexus is usually the hardest thing to win, especially when you show up with none and you hope the VA is going to be fair and the C&P examiner is going to magically pull a unicorn out of his ass and a nexus along with it. It just doesn't happen. Why do you think 80% of VA claims get denied? Because we're uneducated and I don't know. We're just not putting any effort into it. And we want to do everything for free. What about this one? Based on the evidence of record, we have overturned the following findings that we had originally decided in favor of your claim. This is a real doozy. Originally, you have been diagnosed with a disability. This finding has been overturned for the following reason. The records do not show a diagnosis of a medical condition. This means that you went in and poked the bear. They went in and looked up some of your other shit. And then they decided, oh, the VA rater screwed up. There was never a diagnosis. So they yanked the diagnosis. Guess what happens? No diagnosis and you still have the symptoms. Well, you could have the symptoms. Your nexus falls apart. Your whole claim falls apart. That just turns into not service connected. So be careful of that too. Look at the verbiage on this stuff. You have to read and understand this. If you don't understand it, let somebody else read it. Give it to another veteran. Give it to somebody that's used to, reading this stuff more than you are. But at the end of the day, you need to understand what it says so you can be informed on what you're going to do next. The burden of proof is on you, the veteran. It's not on the VSO that you hired that's been on the job for a week. The burden of proof isn't on him. If you have a VSO that doesn't know what they're doing, fire them immediately. It's easy. You can just replace them. My VSO sucked. It's his fault. Okay, so you put no effort into your claim. You hired some shitty VSO to do a free job for you. You didn't vet him at all. And it's his fault? All right, let's tease this out a little bit. So he filed a claim with no medical evidence. You waited 8 months with your thumb stuck up your ass, and your claim got denied. Then you didn't get enough. Then you went back to him because you love free shit. Now you had this clown file a supplemental claim with no new medical evidence. Thumb back up your ass, another 6 months goes by. You got denied again. Your free VSO wasted 14 months of your life and you're never going to get that back. Don't worry though, he got paid because he gets paid either way. If you hire some shitty VSO, it only hurts you. You can play the blame game all you want. Oh, it's my VSO. Like the VSO doesn't care. Nobody cares. You're the one that has to live with it. You are going for an increase or to get something service connected, and now you're back to where you started. Nowhere. Educate yourself. Quit being lazy. Put effort into this stuff. I know this from experience. I was fed up with all the half-assed VSOs that put zero effort into my claim. That's why I created my boot camp. I teach DIY VA claims in my boot camp. You need to learn how to win versus going round and around and around. And let me hop in and say, yes, my boot camp costs $100. Oh, Craig, you shouldn't charge for veterans for stuff. Okay, keep doing the free content, keep losing. That's fine. Hamster wheel will keep going around with you. They'll take that. They got all sorts of time. The hamster wheel will spin around till you're dead. I get your eyes open for sure. And I can point some things out. You can hit me up with some questions, that kind of stuff. Another option is a lawyer. If you want to appeal a decision, check out the sponsor of today's video, Hill and Ponton. I can tell you that you're missing crucial medical evidence. Regardless of what you're doing with boot camp or lawyering up, this is a medical disability and it's about medical evidence. You are missing symptoms, diagnosis, or nexus. That's all it comes down to. So if you need that stuff, I'm going to put an email address right here somewhere. Email these guys with the subject line, I need help with my VA claim, and, oh, they're not going to do it for free. Well, I guess maybe you could just keep going with that low-balling VA doctor. You can keep doing free doctors. Let me know how that works. Just whenever you guys are sick of getting your ass kicked with all these free VSOs, free doctors, and hopefully they don't saw off your leg when you go in for a eye treatment at the VA. When you're done, come back to me. You're ready to make some money? Come back to me. We'll get her done. When we're talking about diagnosis stuff, your symptoms may have been lowballed. You may not even have a diagnosis. I have no clue why they have something called a problem list in VHA records, but oftentimes there won't be a diagnosis. Well, I do have a clue because nobody holds them accountable. So that happens. So you might just need a diagnosis. That's what happened to me in my PTSD claim. I never had a diagnosis. I got it. I won. Didn't even have a CNP exam. You may have your symptoms underreported. If you're talking to VA doctors, I guarantee you they're being underreported. You want 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, and your symptoms are down here at 0. They're not going to pay you shit because your VA doctor's lowballing you. If you want a doctor that actually will say what your symptoms are, links in the description. You might need a nexus linking the current disability you want to file a claim for in your active duty service. They can help you with that as well. Doctors cost money. Everything costs money. You get what you pay for. It's VA claims business, right? It's big business. People make a shit ton of money off of us. Get your head out of your ass. You're losing money every month because you're not fighting for yourself. You could just put a stop to it. You might not have to pay that much for it or anything. Or maybe you will. Doesn't bother me. Your rating does not affect me. I'm focused on my rating, my disability, making sure I don't get reduced. I'm sure they're coming after me, but I pay cash money for a private shrink because I need a private shrink and I don't have insurance for that, and the VA won't send me out to them. So that costs money. Everything costs money. Have I belabored the money issue enough here today? All right, I'll see you in the next video. What you doing, little Mr. Clyde? Big boy. Clyde costs money too. He's expensive. He likes the fancy bones. All right, later.